Wednesday 8th of October saw Varsity hit York St John campus, where York St John sports teams played against Sunderland University for the title of Clash of the Minsters 2014. The day was a huge success with lots of supporters turning out, and both universities played really well. This is YSJSport. So here are the full results of our York St John Sport Varsity against Sunderland University. The overall result is combined from all the wins throughout the day. A win is 2 points the overall score, a draw is 1 point, while a loss is 0 points. Men's football started the day off with 4 terrific wins for York St John. The men's football first team beat 4-2 at the new Hawkesbury Road Sports Park, while men's football seconds won their game 4-0 at Hull Road. Men's football thirds won 3-2 and men's football fourths brought it home with a 4-1 win. Sunderland women's football beat our York St John footballers 9-1, and York St John women's rugby were also unfortunately beaten 2012. Sunderland men's tennis triumphed over York St John as they won their game 4-2, and Sunderland were closing the gap between the two universities. York St John luckily opened up the gap again as Sunderland were unable to field a women's tennis team and men's basketball team, automatically giving York St John 2 wins. York St John opened the gap even further as all 3 York St John netball teams won their games as students watched live on the SU big screen. York St John netball first won their games 75-20, seconds won their game 35-13, and the thirds topped it off with a 51-19 win against Sunderland thirds. Women's basketball were next up, and York St John won with a very close match of 42-35. Meanwhile, the volleyball teams were playing on the outdoor court on Lord Mayor's Walk, and while York St John men's volleyball lost to Sunderland 3-2, York St John women's volleyball were triumphant with a 3-0 win. Both York St John hockey teams won their games. The men's team won 6-0, while the women's won 14-0. But Sunderland continued to battle on, and Sunderland's men badminton beat York St John 7-1. Luckily, our York St John women's badminton team took the victory with 8-0. Our snow sports teams went to Silkswood Sports Complex, and York St John won 3 races to Sunderland's 2. The swimming competition took place at Yeasley Swimming Pool, with York St John emerging victorious with a lead of 21-7. York St John men's indoor cricket team arrived back from Tadcaster with a win of 2-0 against rival Sunderland, and the men's rugby union team had huge support at Hawkesbury Road and won their match 12-0. The final competing teams were the dance squads. Both dance teams had very different routines, but ultimately the decision was up to the 4 judges, and York St John Dance stole the show and extended the lead on Sunderland, giving us an overall result of 38 to York St John and 10 to Sunderland. We'd also like to thank our sports teams who partook in the day but did not compete. We really hope that climbing, karate, aikido and cheerleading had a fantastic varsity. All the participants had a fantastic day, and results were revealed at York St John's official night Fibbers. We'd like to thank all the participants, the varsity makers and the staff who put 110% into organising the day to be the fantastic success that it was. Now it's time to reveal next week's BUCS fixtures, and we'd like to ask you to get down and support as many of your teams possible on the facilities that we're about to reveal and times. Firstly, the matches at York St John University Hawkesbury Road Sports Park are as follows. At 2 o'clock, women's hockey first versus Leeds Beckett second. At 2 o'clock, men's football first versus University of Hull. And again at 2 o'clock, men's rugby union versus University of Leeds thirds. And then at 5 o'clock, still up at Hawkesbury Road Sports Park, are men's hockey first versus Newcastle University third. And men's rugby league first versus University of Hull second, again at 5 o'clock. Meanwhile, in the Foss Sports Hall and live on the Students' Union bar big screen, at 2 o'clock we have women's basketball first versus Newcastle University second. At 4 o'clock, women's volleyball first and University of Bradford first. At 6 o'clock, men's volleyball first versus University of Hull first. And up at Hull Road Sports Ground at 2 o'clock you can catch men's football thirds versus University of Sheffield fourth. And finally, women's badminton first versus University of Sheffield first at the York Railway Institute at 2 o'clock. So best of luck to all of our York St John teams next week, whether you're at home or away, and we'll be back next week with more fixtures and results. I have been your president, and this has been YSJ Sport.